Exactly 1 month from today, Kenyans will mark the first anniversary of the handshake. 10 days ago marked the first anniversary of the Raila swearing in. Between them, these two events represent the worst and the best. The Raila swearing in marked the worst that could possibly happen to this country. We got to a point where the destruction of this country was not an abstract thought. It was a reality that we were scaring at as a people. The handshake changed all that and brought hope. It therefore proper that we not only celebrate this handshake, but also take time to take stock. Let's ask ourselves whether the absence of war means peace, and whether directly to say whether the relative peace we have enjoyed is kind of permanent, whether we shall continue reaping from this peace, or is it a lull? Immediately after the handshake that ushered in this relative peace, Ruto and his brigade continued to fight the handshake, meaning the peace was not as stable as he would have wanted it to be. Recently, Ruto has called his troops to order, signaling the beginning of what might, to a great number of us, mean that finally this country has peace. But like I've said before, is the absence of war a signal of peace? The answer is no. When nations go to war and the guns go silent, that is the time work begins to ensure that that peace is not an event, but ushers in a process that will see lasting peace. The handshake that brought relative peace, now enhanced by Ruto calling his troops to order, must tell Kenyans that this is the time for us to start working on really peace. This being the anniversary period, I want to share with Kenyans, in the manner I shared with them, what was happening in the country in the period leading to and shortly after the repeat election of 2017. I want to suggest to Kenyans that in order for us to reap maximum from this peace, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga must sit down with William Ruto. I suggest this in the manner I suggested in November, December 2017, that Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta had to sit together. I was one of the Kenyans who really asked these two gentlemen to sit down because the future of this country was in their hands. Today, 1 year later, I beseech these two gentlemen, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, to sit down with William Ruto so that we have lasting peace in this country. Because if we don't do so, unknown to many of us, when we get to 2022, comparing it to 2007, 2007 will be like child play. It will be like people have said, a picnic compared to what we could go through in 2022. I therefore ask these three gentlemen, in the interest of this country, in the interest of their children and their grandchildren, in the interest of generations to come, to sit down and discuss what ought to be discussed. Because assuming it is true that Raila and Uhuru know that which William Ruto doesn't know, he may pretend he has called his troops to order, but he will go underground. And come 2022 or thereabouts, this country could witness the worst it has ever witnessed, or any country would wish to witness. As I ask them to sit down, I do so quite aware that is not a simple task, but they should sit down and put all the cards on the table, none under the table, none in the pocket, because each one of these fellows has a dangerous card. If any one of you think you can play the other, I want to advise you and warn you. Each one of them has a dangerous card. If Uhuru, for example, is playing games with Raila, and at the opportune moment, because it is possible that Uhuru and William Ruto are playing with Raila Odinga, pretending that Uhuru is working with Raila at the expense of Ruto, when it is not the case. I want to warn the two, if that is their game, Raila has a dangerous card, and this is the dangerous card. If Uhuru attempts to toss Raila into the sea, run him under the bus, all that Raila will need to do is to say he's not going for presidency. An endorsement from Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka, together with other Kenyans in an expanded executive, my friend Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, you cannot manage that. If Raila is not standing and he endorses the team I have talked about, plus other players, Joho, Wetangula, and a few others, my friend, you can't win against that team. So long as Raila is not standing, it will generate the kind of excitement in the country. None of you. And remember this, 2022 is not a year you are going to steal an election. Nobody can steal an election in 2022. Not Raila, not Uhuru, not Ruto. The world has changed so much. The state of technology is such that you cannot play with an election anymore. That is Raila's dangerous card. We have another dangerous card, and this time from the Uhuru corner. It is possible that if somebody is playing with Uhuru, he can pull the rug from under his feet and dim his light. William Ruto too has a dangerous card. Ruto's dangerous card is William Ruto. William Ruto is in himself a dangerous card, first by what kind of person he is. And I've said this repeatedly. Smart, hardworking, generous, intelligent, easy to make friends, and a very, very smart politician above all. Those qualities make him a dangerous card. But what is much more in terms of this William Ruto man, Kenyans could use him as a dangerous card. It is possible he can play the betrayal card to the extent that Kenyans can use him to dismantle the dynasties in this country. And therefore, let nobody play with the other. Once again, I ask the three leaders, sit together. Let us go into 2022 as a team, as one country. We could resume multi-party politics and elections in 2027 or 2032. Let 2022 be the year we sit together as a country. Let it be a transition period. Let Kenyans sit together, work on the constitution, move into the election of 2022 as one, and then later, after the field has been leveled, after Kenyans have gotten rid of the divisions that bedevil them, we can then move forward. In order for this to happen, I ask William Ruto to talk to people close to Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. William Ruto, talk to people like Morade. They are much more important and powerful than people may think. Talk to people like Morade. Talk to Joho. You know what Sang is doing? Sang is a neophyte. Joho is an institution. You can't fight him using Sang. Finally, because politicians are politicians, sometimes they need to be pushed. I'm not even quite sure that the handshake was not a product of some kind of pushing. I want to invite seasoned Kenyans, people outside the political establishment, to bring these three gentlemen together so that the peace we are enjoying today is not just a lull. This peace is sustainable. I have in mind leaders, powerful leaders like Francis Atwoli. Trade union leaders in this country have played a big role in the politics of this country. Most notable, Thomas Mboya. And elsewhere, Lech Walesa in Poland. In South Africa, the Trade Union Congress is a strong ally of the ANC party. And therefore, this is a challenge to Francis Atwoli. Look for other Kenyans outside the political establishment and sit these guys together. Talk to serious church leaders, Atwoli. Talk to serious leaders in the business and industry. Talk to big industry players. Bring together about 10 seasoned Kenyans and let them talk to William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, so that this country goes into 2022 as one country. Let it be a transitional period. Let us revert back to multipartism and all that goes into electioneering with different sides in 2027 or 2032. So a challenge to our three leaders to sit down together. A challenge to Francis Atwoli and other seasoned leaders in this country. Sit down and ensure that Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, Raila Odinga go into the election of 2022 as one.